It's a rubber match here in San Antonio, Texas. The Trinity Tigers taking on the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs. You see the Bulldogs line up on your screen. They start off with Eric Vasquez, and then Hayden Kesselring, Xavier Arias, Adam Peavy, Carson Drain, Tyler Post, Chase Bourgeois, Mason Godot, and Chance Green is the starting lineup for the Bulldogs. And on the mound for the Tigers today is Trajan Lee, coming into this one with a 2-1 record, a 2.88 ERA, 25 strikeouts over 13 walks. 25 innings of work for Lee on the year. Welcome to the Tiger Network. I'm Reed Rosales, joined by Luke Terry. And Luke, this is a really big rubber match in terms of the SCAC season so far for the Tigers.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Reed. I mean, you came into this weekend not entirely sure what kind of product you were going to get from these two teams. And while I don't think this was the exact product that we anticipated, it is much more what we're used to between Texas Lutheran and Trinity. These are two squads that go back and forth and usually sit atop the conference. Trinity's been there all year, and Texas Lutheran seems to have maybe figured something out a little bit here this weekend.
And first pitch, first swing from Vasquez is a fly ball out into left center field, taken in easily by the Tiger outfielders. So first out of the game for Trajan Lee comes pretty smoothly. Gave it a ride on the left center.
Yeah, and wind is blowing again here in San Antonio. Not necessarily out in that direction, but an important first out for Trajan Lee to get against a Texas Lutheran squad that's played very, very well the last two games, and of course is trying to win this series against Trinity, who sits near the top of the SCAC standings. And it would be a huge boost in momentum for Texas Lutheran, of course.
Tries to attack the outer part of the plate. Doesn't get the call. So ball 2 for Hayden Kesselring. Kesselring hitting 300 so far on the year. Next pitch from Lee. Weak contact drawn. Taken in. The throw to first in time. It's a good play by Jack Baker. It's what he loves to do the most, playing at that shortstop position. Sees a lot of work over there and makes the throw to Holloway for out number 2.
Yeah, not particularly the easiest play to start off the day here in San Antonio for this infield that had some issues in yesterday's game. Luckily, Trinity was able to overcome those mistakes, but Baker doing a nice job of attacking that one. It was a 2-0 count for Trajan Lee. Had to put something in the zone. Fortunately for him, he got the inside edge on a righty in on the hands of Kesselring, and he just couldn't get that barrel through. Soft contact, and Jack Baker did the rest of the work.
It's a 1-1 count for the 3-hole hitter for the Bulldogs, Xavier Arias. 1-1 pitch from Lee. Fouled off. 1-2 count, Lee ahead. The sun shines down here on the baseball field. Lee with the 1-2 pitch. Tried to attack the outside. Doesn't get the call. 2-2 with 2 outs on the board here in the top of the first.
Yeah, good spot from Lee right there, especially in a 1-2 count. Could afford to waste something and misses just down and away.
Now a full count for Arias. Looking to be the first Bulldog to get on base today. Till you struck first in the first inning in game 1. And that'll be a drawn walk issued by Trajan Lee. So a base runner for the Bulldogs as they hand the stick over to Adam Peavy, their cleanup hitter.
I said that 1-2 fastball down and away, it's a good miss in a count where you're ahead. But then to throw a breaking ball off of it that starts really in that same spot, of course that's going to finish even further out of the zone. And drives it full 3-2, and you walk that batter and come back here and hit the next man very quickly. Does this inning shift in favor of Texas Lutheran even with 2 outs on the board?
Once again, Bulldogs looking to be two-out merchants here in Game 3. Nearly all of their hits in Game 1 came with 2 outs on the board. Now Carson Drain working with a runner in scoring position. Lee will have to face the pressure of a runner behind him and a runner at his back.
And he did a really nice job of just working quickly through the first couple of hitters, and even then, batter that he walked, and Arias, he got ahead in that count, which is important. He tries to do so here, but just misses again.
So Carson Drain trying to be the one to put the first run across the plate for the Bulldogs. Hits that one out into center field. Diving play is not made. Hits the ground, so a run will come in to score for the Bulldogs. Arias comes in. It is 1-0 Texas Lutheran. Jack Peterson gave it his all, but the ball hit the ground before he could make the catch.
Yeah, and really a good call by the field umpire right here. It was a close play, and it was difficult for us to see from our vantage point, but it does look like Peterson, while he wasn't able to get there and catch it in the air, did a tremendous job of trapping it as he was going to the ground. Those flags out in center field behind him are blowing in just a little bit, and that might have helped the Bulldogs out to get run number 1 here in San Antonio.
Lee throws it to second base. Adam Peavy is safe. So Adam Peavy on second, Carson Drain on first. RBI for Drain has now Tyler Post, reigning SCAC Player of the Year. Takes that pitch. So make it a 1-0 count for a very dangerous bat.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. It's been right-handed hitters in the batter's box for Texas Lutheran up until Post. And of course, Trajan Lee wasn't getting that spot down and away to those righties. He comes right at Post with a fastball on the outside part of the plate with that first offering. And it looked pretty good from here, but he didn't get the call. Had to come a little bit further back in the zone with that last pitch to even it up at 1-1.
Swing and a miss. Post down in a 1-2 count. Certainly not the man you want to see if you're the Tigers. The runner in scoring position. Bit slower of a start for Post on the year. But still a very dangerous bat that you cannot underestimate under any circumstances. Swing and a miss. Tyler Post strikes out. Trajan Lee will head back to the dugout. But one run comes across for Texas Lutheran. They lead at 1-0 as we head to the bottom of the first inning on the Tiger Network. Welcome back to the Tiger Network. You see the Tigers starting lineup on your screen. It'll be led off by Caleb Woodward, then Jack Peterson, Nicholas Lazara, Christian Holloway, Alex Monson, Colt Harris, Kai Tinker, Maddox McDonald, and Jack Baker will tail things off for the Tigers. Pitching for the Bulldogs today is Diego Vinton, the junior right-hander coming in with a 6.53 ERA on the season. Looking to lower that against the Tigers. Comes in a big spot. This will be appearance 10. 10th start for the junior. Big spot in a tough Tiger lineup. Starting off with a man who went deep yesterday in Caleb Woodward. And the first pitch from Vinton. Taken for strike one by Woodward. So down in an 0-1 count.
And intrigued to see Woodward shift into this leadoff spot in this lineup. Talked about it pretty extensively, I think, this past week in midweek action against McMurray. For quite a while, pretty consecutive games where it was Jack Peterson in the 1 hole, followed by Woodward in the 2 spot. And we talked about Peterson specifically in his capacity as a leadoff hitter. But between these two guys, Peterson certainly the bat with a little bit more pop in it. Of course, Woodward went deep yesterday. He has that in his game, but in just his first year in San Antonio, he'll have a long career ahead of him, and he'll have quite a bit of filling out to do in the weight room. But for now, it does seem like he is a guy that is absolutely suited in this spot. Still a ton of speed right here, and a guy that can work counts and has just increased that average game over game. Feels about past 5 or 6 times out.
Full count pitch. And a drawn walk for Caleb Woodward. He puts his speed on first base. A dangerous base threat. Another capable bat for the Tigers. Jack Peterson, senior, will look to push the freshman across. He steps up. Vinton, first issued walk, will try and settle in better here.
Yeah, it doesn't change a ton necessarily, especially to start games right here. Woodward gets on ahead of him. The bunt is still very much in play because he has great speed. As you see, he squares around right there, pulls it back. But it just gives him a little bit more freedom to swing it however he sees fit. And for a guy that has filled out in his time in this program, big 6'4" body, he can pull it out of the park to the shorter side in right field, just about 300, 310 down that line. And we've seen him do it quite a bit in his 4-year career.
They're checking on Woodward over at first base. Of course, Tigers do like their hit and runs, so making sure Woodward stays back. Caught him in a rundown in the last game. Trying to do the same. A 1 count for Jack Peterson. Evens up at 1-1 as he watches that one wisely.
And whether it's the hit and run or Caleb Woodward taking off on his own, he certainly has plenty of speed. It really just feels like a matter of what happens first. Does Jack Peterson get something in the zone that he can put in play? That'll be the question in this at bat.
Even count pitch. I'm going to keep checking up on Woodward. Certainly concerned about his speed, and it is a very valid concern to have. That pitch misses away. 2-1 count for Jack Peterson.
And it feels like the big concern right here is trying to keep someone off second base with no outs on the board.
Swing and a miss.
Keeping Woodward close over there at first negates his ability to run just a little bit. But of course, if Jack Peterson ends up having to put a bunt down, then in that scenario, at least you assume you can take an out.
Umpire making a signal. Board still reads a 2-2 count. So Vinton trying to put Jack Peterson away. But out into right center field. It gets down. Woodward will head to third. Peterson will stay at first. So runners at the corners as Jack Peterson puts the freshman on third base and himself on first.
And just a great piece of hitting by Peterson right here. Looks like he gets a breaking ball that hangs up in the zone and is maybe a little bit out in front of it, given that swing and the trajectory of that baseball. Wasn't particularly hard hit off the bat. Felt like he got barrel on it, but really had his hands out in front of this one. Still hit it to the pull side just a little bit in shallow right center. One way or another, it gets the job done, and it brings up another hot bat for this Trinity offense.
And that hot bat is Nicholas Lazara. Takes the first pitch for strike one. Good catcher for the Tigers. Also very capable with the stick in his hands. Hitting .379 so far. OPS just a little bit under 1,000. Vinton will have to work carefully against another dangerous Tiger bat. No outs on the board so far. Check up on Peterson at first. Dives back safely.
Yeah, it's been an interesting read. There's been a couple of conversations between the home plate umpire and Vinton on the mound. I'm not sure if he's stepping onto the rubber too early. That's typically not an issue for pitchers, but I think this home plate umpire has signaled him to step off given the fact that the batter isn't in the batter's box. A little confusing. I can't tell from our vantage point what the interaction between the two are at the moment.
That is a strike taken. So 0-2 count for Lazara. Vinton would really love an out here. Put Lazara away and have the double play on the board to get out of the inning. But for now, it's an 0-2 count for the Tiger catcher. Swing and a miss. Vinton strikes out Lazara. He'll have to head back to the dugout as the first out of the bottom of the first. But the walk-off man himself, Christian Holloway, picks up the stick to take on Vinton, who was the first walk-off for the Tigers on the season so far. Hit a way deep shot out into left field to tie the series at 1-1, make this one a rubber match.
Yeah, and it was only his second or third game back into the lineup. He missed a couple of consecutive. He's another true senior in this Trinity offense, and I think he was sorely missed over his absence. Great to have him back out there. A lot of power in his bat for a lineup that hasn't had as many home runs as I think the offense is used to relying on.
It's an 0-1 count for Holloway. Runner goes, and they will not throw to second. Very wise by Chance Green, I would say. Throw to second. Woodward certainly had the speed to come rushing home. But no double play on the board anymore for the Bulldogs. So Holloway will try and just put the ball in play. 1-1 count. Chance Green, very smart behind the plate for the Bulldogs. Lined down right field, but foul. Could have been dangerous if it was fair.
Yeah, it looks like Vasquez is playing out there at second base, and despite the fact that Peterson just moved up with that stolen bag, he's playing pretty far up the middle, almost as if he's in true double play depth. Right there, now he's moving back to pretty traditional territory. Felt like...
Now ground ball right to Vinton, drops the ball, gets the out at first and checks the runner back. So very fortunate for Vinton as a return to sender play keeps the runners at second and third with 2 outs on the board.
I was going to say, before Vasquez moved back into traditional depth out there at second, Christian Holloway put that shot down the first base line. Seemed like that was his approach. Try and find that hole between post at first and Vasquez at second. kind of tried to do the same thing there, just got on top of it and sent it right back to Vinton on the mound.
That brings up Alex Monson. Monson trying to be the one to bring home the runners. Vinton trying to put a goose egg on the board for the Tigers. It's a ball bit outside, so 2-0 count for Monson. Walk here would load the bases. Monson hitting .362 on the season. Another capable Tiger bat. Fouled off. Goes back near the track area, landing on the street, and then into the football field. Vinton just 1 out away from getting out of the jam. Still behind in the count, 2-1. And now even further behind, 3-1 as that pitch misses up and away.
And Monson, while he hasn't necessarily been a staple in this lineup for the past 4 years, he's been great as of late.
That'll be a drawn walk for Alex Monson. It loads the bases for the Tigers. It'll bring up Colt Harris, another senior in this Tiger batting order. Trinity really wanting to respond to the 1 run that was put up in the top of the first. Have a prime opportunity to do it here.
And Texas Lutheran, while they might not have been familiar with Monson, certainly probably did their scouting as a guy that's hitting over .350 on the year. He's barreled a lot of baseballs. Recognize, probably don't want to attack him in a 3-1 count right there. Certainly live with putting him on. Now 4 outs at every bag, but you do have to deal with another staple in this Trinity lineup for a little bit longer in Colt Harris.
It's an 0-1 count. The pitch. Put into right center. That one's going to fall. 1 run will come in. Another coming around. Runner will head to third, and the throw gets away from Arias. So 2 RBI for Colt Harris. He drives in Woodward and Peterson and allows Monson to head to third and himself to go to second. So it is 2-1. Tigers take the lead in the bottom of the first.
But realistically, with a lot of offenses in this conference and definitely this Trinity offense, it becomes a situation where you have to pick your poison. And didn't want to attack Alex Monson in a 3-1 count, and that's understandable. But Colt Harris is just as tough of an out, and he makes the Bulldogs pay. Really huge to scratch not just 1 to draw even, but to get 2 and pull out ahead in this one.
And that's a pitch taken now by Kai Tinker. Another senior on very senior-heavy Tiger batting order. And takes that one for a strike. So 1-1 count for the Tiger third baseman. Still working with runners on second and third. Swing and a miss. That'll be strike 3. Scoreboard just a bit off, so that'll end the first inning. Tinker will head back to the dugout. Tigers take the lead, 2-1. We'll take a break on the Tiger Network as we head to the second frame. And here we are back in the top of the second. Chase Bourgeois will start things off for the Bulldogs. First pitch, it is popped up. Maybe a play in a right foul territory. It looks like unable to make a play. So Bourgeois will have another opportunity. Holloway was ranging over, but I think just into the bullpen or to the dugout. It's always a bit difficult seeing those plays into foul territory over there. It's in our blind spot up on the roof. Strike two to Bourgeois. So now an 0-2 count for the leadoff bat here in the top of the second. 7-hole hitter, Bourgeois. Ball in the turf. So make it a 1-2 count for Bourgeois. Certainly frustrating game for him yesterday. Had trouble getting anything going for himself. We'll try and have better luck against Trajan Lee. Weak contact. It'll be a tough play. Tinker barehanded throw. Not in time. Tinker tried his best, but Bourgeois too speedy. So a base runner for the Bulldogs here in the top of the second.
Yeah, Kai Tinker did everything he could on that one. Charges in right off of the bat, recognizing that weak contact. Barehands it cleanly, puts a strike right on Christian Holloway's frame over there at first base. But Bourgeois, with just a little bit too much speed, able to beat that one out. Base hit to start off the top of the second for Texas Lutheran. Seems like it's going to be one of those days, Reed, where we just have a back-and-forth affair on our hands, and that's mostly what we're used to between these squads.
And Mason Godot plunked by Trajan Lee. Lee has been struggling a little bit with his command. Second hit batter for him today. Lazara will go on and chat with Trajan Lee for just a moment.
Yeah, I think that was a two birds, one stone scenario where it hit both the batter and in the process, Ricochet got the home plate umpire. I think Lazaro was trying to buy him just a moment. We still see both of them moving around a little gingerly.
That brings up the catcher for the Bulldogs, Chance Green. Green having success in game one. Game two a bit more rough, hitting 185. A little bit below the Mendoza line. Can come in a big way if you could get a base hit. First pitch taken for ball one, trying to get Green to chase. And now a proper mound visit from Lazara. Talking things out with this pitcher. Runners on first and second for the Bulldogs. I think you're right, Luke. It's a lot of base runners here early on. May see a back and forth affair.
Yeah, and I was fairly close to opening this inning by discussing how close Trajan Lee was to getting out of the first unscathed. Got the first two outs rather quickly, got ahead on the third batter in a 1-2 count, and then ultimately walked him. Next guy in the batter's box, hit by pitch, and then the one hit in the inning was able to drive home a run.
Bunt attempt goes awry for Chance Green. He laid down a really good bunt in yesterday's game to push the runners across. Less successful here. So 1-1 count for the Bulldog catcher. There is movement in the bullpen for the Tigers. See Shepard Tyler warming up. You can tell that delivery from any distance. For now, Trajan Lee. The windup. And the pitch. Strike two. So ahead in the count against Green as Trajan Lee looks for greener pastures.
And really a spot here where you want to take advantage of the force outs in the infield, try and turn a double play if you can. Otherwise, ahead 1-2, big spot for a strikeout.
Swing and a miss. He gets the strikeout. Green shakes his head a little bit as he heads back to the dugout. But we'll go back to the top of the batting order for TLU as Eric Vasquez steps back up to the dish. Still a good spot for the Bulldogs with a runner in scoring position. Certainly the situation they want to be in. Now they have to work with an out on the board. Weak contact. Tinker steps on third. The throw to first in time. Double play turned by the Tigers. Tinker steps on third, throws to first, and that'll be the end of the top of the second. It's a 0 on the board for the visiting team as we head to the bottom of the second frame on the Tiger Network. Bottom of the second inning here at Trinity University. Maddox McDonald starting things off for the Tigers. Flashes bunt. Ends up in the foul netting, though. Trying to get on with this speed. McDonald making a return to the lineup. Missed a couple games, but now back. He's fresh. But down in an 0-2 count. He was really effective at reaching the base paths in yesterday's affair. Had a hit, drew a walk, got hit by a pitch. Now puts that one out into right field. Right fielder ranging back and making the catch. Easy enough for Carson Drain. McDonald will be retired for the first out of the bottom of the second inning.
Yeah, gave that one a little bit of a ride out there to right field. Forced the outfielder back a couple of steps, but just a tough spot, falling behind 0-2. Ultimately had to just fight something off. And typically, flyouts to right field off of the bat of right-handed hitters probably not going to get out of the park here in San Antonio, especially when they aren't wind-aided, as is the case here at the moment.
And that one's sent out into center field. Kesselring tracks it effectively, makes the catch. So Jack Baker will head back to the dugout. So 2 fly balls for Tiger bats. 2 quick outs for Vinton, just what he wants. Bulldogs have loved to work quickly. But back to the top of the lineup with Caleb Woodward. Had a leadoff walk. Takes that one for strike 1.
And Vinton looking really, really good here in the bottom of the second. TLU not able to provide him any more run support in the top of this frame, but able to just give him a little bit extra time to reset. Right now, looks like that breaking ball is working very, very effectively. Used it in both of the previous 2 at-bats.
It'll be a tough throw. It is in time. Strong throw by Vasquez. Gets the speedy Woodward out at first base. So no runs come across in the second inning. It is still 2-1 as we head to the third. Stay tuned on the Tiger Network for the series finale. Through 2 innings, the score is 2-1, Tiger advantage. Hayden Kesselring will try and make that not so as the Bulldogs attack Trajan Lee yet again here in the top of the 3rd. First pitch to him misses for ball 1. Kesselring grounded out back in the 1st inning. And 2 pitches, 2 balls. Kesselring ahead in the count.
And what looks like, from our vantage point, of course, we're both a little offset to the right side behind home plate.
That one lined right to Kai Tinker. Didn't even have to take a step. First out of the inning.
And, of course, interrupts me. 2-0 count. A great spot to just tee off on something, and that was a good cut. A healthy one, found the barrel, and unfortunately for Texas Lutheran, leadoff hitter just struck it right to Tinker at 3rd base. Pretty much hits him between the numbers on the chest.
And that first one fouled back behind us on top of the roof of the Bell Center. Xavier Arias 0 for 0, drew a walk. So second time seeing Trajan Lee. Strike 2. So now Lee ahead in the 0-2 count. Lee has kind of been that go-to starter for when it's not Shavana or Jackson Tier. Popped up, but behind us. Will land right next to us. So another souvenir for the roof of the Bell Center.
I think that's the closest foul ball that we've had up here so far this year, Reed. I don't know if you missed anything, or if I missed anything while I was gone the previous 2 games. I heard a shout out. You vowed to protect Cole Isaacson in my absence, and that was very noble of you. Reed Rosales, who has been, in fact, struck by a baseball bat that went flying in the past. One of my all-time moments on Tiger Network. It's coming to a close, and I'm going to have to relive some top moments. Maybe create a bracket even. That's one of the best ones ever.
Another ball fouled off. Up and over the roof. I hope it's a 1 seed in the March Madness Luke Terry moments bracket.
It's up there. If I think Tiger Network, I think Reed Rosales. I think Reed Rosales getting hit by a baseball bat, and I think Brian Janselson prioritizing the safety, the well-being of the camera you were holding. I don't even think he said your name. Maybe he did, but it was an afterthought. If we're being honest, it was disrespectful. You put yourself directly in harm's way, and what did you get from it? Nothing.
But out to right field. Coming in to make the catch is McDonald. That is 2 outs in the inning now. That was my first year, too. I remember it very well.
It's only been up from there. You've been promoted.
Yeah, certainly. I'm much safer up here. If I get hit by a bat up here,
then there's an issue. There's a real problem.
something's going on. We'll see if something's going on for Adam Peavy. Takes the first pitch for ball 1. It's been a tough series for Peavy. Still looking for his first hit of the series. He's gotten on base, just not via the hit. Hit by the pitch back in the first. Now ahead in the 2-0 count. Cleanup bat for the Bulldogs. One of the leaders in the SCAC and RBI. Nobody to work with on base, however. Strong cut. Goes foul into the TLU bullpen. Makes it 2-1.
Yeah, and pretty emblematic of a guy that maybe hasn't had the greatest weekend at the plate. You get ahead 2-0 in a count against a guy that has thrown his fastball and it's, been touched. At least fouled off, at least battled off. You get a barrel on it, but you still send it the opposite direction. It's just pretty late in the box right now and misses a good opportunity to take advantage of a 2-0 offering and a 2-1 offering. Now he has 2 strikes on him.
2-2 pitch. Close take, but a wise one ultimately. It's a full count for Adam Peavy. Trajan Lee trying to get out of the inning unscathed. Strike 3 called. Adam Peavy strikes out looking. And Trajan Lee getting the fist bump from Nicholas Lazara as they head back to the dugout. It is still a 2-1 ball game. Advantage Tigers. We head to the bottom of the third frame on the Tiger Network. Stay tuned. It's Jack Peterson now to start things off for the Tigers in the bottom of the third. Used to leading off usually for the Tigers. Gets to lead off this inning. First pitch from Vinton misses for ball 1. It's Nick Lazara on deck. And Christian Holloway in the hole for the Tigers. And that one put out into right field into the TLU bullpen.
Yeah, that one just kept carrying and carrying into foul territory. It felt like maybe it would have a chance to get down on the left side of the foul line.
Swing and a miss. 1-2 count for Jack Peterson. Tigers in the white with the maroon pinstripes. That one put out into right field. It's hit very well. Off the wall. Peterson will head to second. Strong throw. He thinks better and heads back to first. What a throw by Carson Drain to keep Peterson at first.
Yeah, kind of a tough break for Jack right here. He gets out and around this baseball that's up and maybe even on the outside part of the plate. Well, the wind's not helping him out again, but one way or another, that's a tough pitch to drive out of the park, and he puts it off the wall. It ricochets back into Drain's hands, and he's able to just turn and throw. I'm not sure he hit the spot at second base, but Peterson recognized how quickly it was getting to the infield, and I think wisely chooses to avoid out number 1 on the base paths. Instead, Trinity has a leadoff runner on.
They check on Peterson. But now taking the swings at the dish for the Tigers is Nicholas Lazara. Vinton. Lazara flashes bunt, pulls back. But it is for strike 1. You saw Arias coming way in. Waiting for the bunt to be dropped by Lazara just in case. See if the catcher lays down the bunt. It's an 0-1 count for Lazara. Runner goes. And fouled off. So perhaps a hit and run in effect. Peterson will have to head back to first.
And one of the things that stands out about Lazara is his patience at the plate. He watches a lot of pitches, but a result of that is sometimes he falls behind in counts. He did it the first time up today, was down 0-2. He's a great hitter. And sometimes maybe you just have to force his hands a little bit more. It seems like that was the case. 0-1 count, hit and run is on.
But a swing and a miss. That's strikeout number 2 for Lazara. To take the slow walk back to the dugout. So 1 out on the board for the Tigers for Christian Holloway to try and get Peterson home.
Yeah, Mazzara, as a catcher, is not a guy that strikes out a lot. He's been very, very good, especially as of late, but not a great start here in a rubber match against Texas Lutheran.
Runner goes. The throw is a good one. And they got Peterson. What a throw by Chance Green. A rocket off his arm. Peterson, one of the most effective base grabbers for the Tigers. Caught stealing by Chance Green.
Yeah, and we'll see a replay of it right here. That ball certainly gets in front of Jack Peterson. He's going down to the ground. It's just in front of his hands. Really close play nonetheless, though, because Vasquez, it looks like he has to pick it at second and then apply the tag. It was already a close play, and I'm sure that made it even closer. And feels, at the moment at least, like field umpire got that one right. Couldn't see anything on the replay that would point to the contrary.
It's a 3-0 count for the Tiger cleanup bat. Pitch from Vinton. Strike one. Batters count for Christian Holloway. So for one today, grounded out back to Vinton in the first inning. Puts that one out into right field. A runner going back. It's off the wall. Holloway will head to second. Strong throw. Maybe a play. There is not. Holloway holds on to second base for dear life. Trying not to overslide. Well, it's a double for Holloway.
And again, really good base running right here. Christian Holloway this time recognizing that the throw's a little bit more delayed. He'll have that opportunity to advance to second, but he really needs to book it. It's really his full speed, not as quick on the base paths as Jack Peterson, so it requires him slowing down in a different capacity. And on this turf, that's a difficult task. So you're exactly right, Reed. He just grabs onto that bag and holds on for dear life.
Brings up Alex Monson. Drew a walk. That is his day so far. 2 outs for Vinton. Now a 1-1 count. Maybe some groans from the Tiger faithful on that call. But either way, make it a 1-1 count for Monson. Pitch misses low and inside. So as Alex Monson comes a bit ahead in the count, 2-1. With Holloway on second base. Breaking ball misses. So another batter's count situation, this time for Alex Monson. Another batter capable of going deep in this Tiger lineup.
Same situation they had the first time around. 3-1 count, 2 outs on the board. Don't really want to mess around with him. You have a base open. You have a couple of bases open. You'll have to face Colt Harris again.
And they're going to draw the walk based on a time violation. Not the first time that this has happened here at Tiger Field, but runners on first and second. Odd way to get put on, but time violation by Vinton.
I don't particularly remember a time this season where it's actually benefited Trinity. They've been the victims of the time violation certainly a couple of times. Again, trying to just display some care with Monson in the box and puts him on first base and brings Colt Harris up to the plate in an RBI situation.
So an 0-1 count for Colt Harris. 2 RBI for himself. Grounder. Nice pick. They go the short way. So Bourgeois to Vasquez to end the inning. No runs come across. We are still at a 2-1 ball game. Trinity leading. But Carson Drain, Tyler Post, and Chase Bourgeois will try and change that for the Bulldogs. It's a Sunday SCAC rubber match. Stay tuned on the Tiger Network. Trajan Lee back out there for another inning of work for the Tigers. He's pitched 3, will try to go 4. Good pitch count for Trajan Lee. Only at 43 so far. And grounder almost picked by the third base coach. It's Carson Drain up to bat. RBI single for him. Back in the first. Got the scoring started for both sides. Ball on the turf, 1-1 count. Taps home plate with the bat. Strike 2. Good pitch by Trajan Lee to put Drain behind in the count.
And a really good spot right there. It seems like the same one that ended the last half inning offensively for Texas Lutheran.
Swing and a miss. Trajan Lee effectively works around Carson Drain. That'll be out number 1. Strikeout number 4 on the day for Trajan Lee.
It's really a tough job as a hitter when the umpire is giving that pitch down and away. And it was kind of a switch. It felt like through the first 2 frames, Trajan Lee didn't get that spot down and away. And it was a little bit of a departure. Diego Vinton on the other side certainly got some calls down. Felt like Lee was missing just a little bit off the plate one way or another horizontally. But I don't know, the last couple of pitches that he has gotten called down and away seem to be the same location. Home plate umpire maybe not the most consistent, and Texas Lutheran's offense getting hurt because of it just a bit at the moment.
Tyler Post, 1-1 count. Pitch from Lee. Misses high. So a 2-1 count for Tyler Post. He struck out today. Capable of leaving this ballpark, very surely. Next pitch misses, so a batter's count for Tyler Post. Dreaded batter's count when it comes to Tyler's Post. Opposing pitchers have been careful with him this year. He's just so imposing in the batter's box. And he'll draw a walk. Perhaps not the worst outcome for Trajan Lee, but it puts a runner on first base. Chase Bourgeois. He comes up to the plate. 1 for 1 today. He singled back in the second. Now works with Post on first base.
Yeah, but it was that real weak contact to Kai Tinker, who made a great play on it, had to barehand get it onto first. Bourgeois just displaying a bit too much speed on the base paths. Now a runner on, opportunity to bring a run across here. Still in the fairly early going in San Antonio. Not a bad spot to lay a bunt down and test this infield and display some speed yet again.
It's a conversation between Nick Lazara and Trajan Lee, and there's a lot of questions coming into this year about who that Game 3 or Game 2 in some cases starter would be for the Tigers. Both knew that Joseph Shavana and Jackson T are surely starters. That third one, with the departure of some really good Tiger pitchers, was in question, but Trajan Lee has certainly stepped into this role very well.
Yeah, and it was really more so a matter of who was going to fill that role, not necessarily if they were going to be able to fill it successfully. I mean, Trajan Lee has been really, really impressive, and perhaps we're going to see his day come to a close right here as Dave Smith ventures out to the mound, but there's yet to be a signal to the bullpen, so we'll have to wait just a moment longer and see. We'll still have the opportunity. I mean, Trajan Lee has been wonderful this year. He's a big 6'4" righty. He throws hard. He mixes his pitches well. There is a signal. Coach Smith taps on his arm. Trajan Lee's going to be done, but he's going to hand it off to a bullpen that's full of arms that could theoretically slot into that day 3, game 3 starter role. So far, in past several outings where Trajan Lee has had that title, he's been really, really great.
It's the day for Trajan Lee. We'll introduce the new pitcher after he's done warming up. Stay tuned on the Tiger Network. It's still a 2-1 lead for Trinity. Chase Bourgeois will try to change that when we're back. New pitcher in for the Tigers. It's Shepard Tyler. Tyler coming in with a 3.72 ERA over nearly 10 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts to 11 walks. Whip a little bit above 2. He's come in this series already. Kind of playing cleanup duty back in game 1 when really Brendan Beard kind of said, hey, this game is about me, through 161 pitches to shut out the Tigers. But now a situation where the Tigers are winning. Swing and a miss. Of course, the big thing about Shepard Tyler, Luke, is that sidearm delivery.
And it's really such a change of pace. The ball comes out of a very, very different arm slot.
Pitch misses. 3-1 count for Chase Bourgeois.
He hasn't let up a whole lot, at least not as much as you'd think in regards to velocity. Still throws the ball very, very hard in a right-on-right situation right here. Breaking ball offers some good movement, but inherits a 1-0 count and makes it just a little bit more difficult to work back from.
So runners on first and second. There's still movement in the Tiger bullpen, just in case Shepard Tyler is unable to get out of this one. But Tyler, for now, readies the first pitch to Mason Godot. Strike 1 to Godot. He was plunked by Trajan Lee back in the second inning. 1 out on the board for the Tigers. The pitch. Trying to get Godot to chase. He doesn't bite. It's a 1-1 count. Let's see, Tinker playing in just a little bit. Tigers would love to turn a double play. Swing and a miss. So now ahead in the count is Shepard Tyler. 1-2. Godot trying to rework things. He gets set to face off against Tyler again. Swing and a miss. And the throw over to first. It's not in time. but it looks like Chase Bourgeois down in a bit of pain. Gets back up. Could have pulled something perhaps. He's walking a bit gingerly. It's 2 outs on the board for the Tigers. And Holly will head over to talk with Shepard Tyler to give Bourgeois some time to recover. Looks like Bourgeois will stay in the game. It's Chance Green, the catcher, 9-hole bat, due up to try and get post home from second base. First pitch. Doesn't bite, ball 1.
And a big spot. Good job by Tyler coming into this one, finding a way to get out number 2. Pressure remains on by this Bulldog offense. Still a really big spot.
Another pitch misses. Tyler is challenging, but it's a 2-0 count for Chance Green. He struck out today. And takes that one for a strike. Make it a 2-1 count for Chance Green, Bulldog catcher. Great defensively, trying to be a silver slugger as well. And that one lifted in the shallow left and easily taken in by Jack Baker. So nobody has scored since the first inning still. Bulldogs have no luck in the top of the 4th. We head to the bottom of the 4th on the Tiger Network as Kai Tinker, Maddox McDonald, and Jack Baker are due up for the Tigers. Stay tuned. Bottom of the 4th here in San Antonio, Texas. Diego Vinton still looking to have a strong performance. He's really settled in since the first inning. As Kai Tinker 0 for 1 today. He struck out to Vinton back in the first. Takes that one for strike 1. As Vinton has really been an artist painting the corners.
You talk about settling in. Really, both of these pitching staffs, now that Trinity has gone to the pin with Shepard Tyler, have done a nice job of adjusting, settling into this game after both squads scored runs in that first frame.
Pitch misses inside for ball 1. For ball 2, rather. So a 2-1 count for Tinker. Now it's evened up at 2-2. Tinker takes a moment, recollects himself. 2-2 pitch. Fouled off. So Tinker stays alive. Does the ball go right between his legs without him noticing? Okay, Tinker. All reliable at third base. Had a bit of a rough game yesterday. Takes that one for ball 3. trying to come in big here for the Tigers. Hit, and it's going to get through into right center field on a grounder. Kai Tinker thinks about second, but will retreat back to first. So a leadoff base hit for Kai Tinker here in the bottom of the fourth.
Yeah, another inning, another Trinity leadoff base runner on. Really nice job by Kai Tinker right there, shortening up, sending something the opposite direction. Again, it's Vasquez out there at second base for Texas Lutheran. He seemed to be in a pretty good spot on this ball, but it was hard hit, as we just mentioned. He wasn't so far off, but still felt like it necessitated him going to the ground. He just didn't get there quickly enough, and it snuck by him.
Runner goes. Hit and run is barely foul. So a bit unlucky for Maddox McDonald. Hit and run almost worked to mega perfection. Fortunate for TLU. It'll keep Tinker at first base.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it all year long on Tiger Network. The bullpens jut out pretty far on either side of the field, down right field and left field territory. They can come into play when balls just sneak past third base in fair territory but wind up foul. Some concrete bases on either side of the field that create some pretty nasty ricochets. So you're right. Based on where that one was headed, Texas Lutheran catches a break.
Head coach Tim Scannell talking with Maddox McDonald for a moment. McDonald will step back into the batter's box. It's an 0-1 count for McDonald. Fouled back. So now behind in the count, 0-2. Texas Lutheran. Yellow tops, black bottoms. Have the yellow stripe going down the side of the pants. They check over at first. Kai Tinker slides in safe. So Bulldogs, aware of what the Tigers' original plan was, making sure they don't try it again. Check on Tinker again. No avail, though. It's an 0-2 count for Maddox McDonald. Checks the swing. 1-2 count. That one misses in the turf. Benton, 3 strikeouts today. Has also issued 3 walks. It has settled in nicely. Weak contact. McDonald will try and run out. They go to second. And in time. Kai Tinker can't believe it. McDonald will be safe at first on a fielder's choice. And Kai Tinker disagreeing with the call by the field umpire.
Yeah, and that's really a tough result for Trinity in these circumstances. Tinker took a step back to the dugout after he put that one down that left field line. He's been out, or excuse me, Maddox McDonald took a step towards the Trinity dugout after putting that one down the left field line. It wound up just foul, but he's a name we mentioned on the broadcast today, has been out dealing with some injury stuff. I think he's dealt with some muscular stuff with his hamstring. At least that's what it looks like based on play. I remember the game, the last time he played before he missed time, he ran out a ball and then kind of came up just hobbling a bit outside or past first base. It felt like maybe that was the same result right there. He didn't get down the line the way he normally does, and maybe Trinity now gets out their lead runner and has someone not running at full speed behind him with one out on the board.
This leaves Jack Baker working with 1 out on the board. 9-hole bat. Fouls that one off the pole. Gets a cheer from the Tiger dugout. They're always hoping that someone hits that pole.
I mean, it was a pretty cool result. Straight back to Chance Green, who didn't necessarily have to move a muscle. He caught that one pretty much in his box behind the dish at home plate.
A round of applause. Not just the dugout, but from the bullpen. They check over at first on McDonald. Slides in safe. I think there were some cheers from the TLU dugout as well when their catcher made that catch. The applause still continue for Baker. Check at first is safe. The Bulldogs have been really good with their pickoff moves. Tigers always having to slide back, and it's always usually a closer play than usual that they have to deal with. And they check over. Ball goes over the first baseman. Post will have to retrieve it. McDonald will take his free base. So an unfortunate result for the Bulldogs as Chance Green trying to check on McDonald over at first ends up giving him the free base.
Yeah, and again, just mentioned it, those bullpens and right and left field territory come into play. This one runs into that netting so it doesn't get too far away. But even then, Maddox McDonald might not be running it at full speed. He's got plenty left in the tank to make it down to second right there and put himself in scoring position.
Put out into right center field. It's going to get down. Maddox McDonald will come around to score. Baker heads to second. And it'll be an RBI double for Jack Baker. He bakes up another run for the Tigers as they pull ahead 3-1 in the bottom of the fourth.
And the wind is now blowing out to straightaway center field rather hard. I'm sure this baseball carried a little bit, but the trajectory got down in right center. I don't think that wind made a difference in that regard. Great piece of hitting again from Jack Baker. Puts that in the alley, runner in scoring position. He's going to come across and score easily. Big spot right there.
Caleb Woodward takes strike one. Vinton has surrendered. 2 earned. There are 3 runs, though. A run coming in unearned due to the error. Let's pitch away for a 1-1 count. Bulldogs, best fielding team in the SCAC coming into this one. Easy to see why. Very fundamental in their approach. Made some great plays. Woodward sends that one out into center field. A catch made. Runner will head back to second base as Kessinger just ranging over, making the catch. Kesselring will be applauded. Heads back to center field to his position as now Jack Peterson steps up to the plate. But Kesselring, Godot, and Drain have made some web gem catches in the outfield over the course of this series, robbing Tigers of hits. Check at second. Safe. But again, a close play. Baker had to slide in. PD today, 2 singles. Sends that one on a hot shot out into the deep field. It's gone! Jack Peterson goes yard! A PD bomb puts the Tigers up even more over the Bulldogs. It's 5-1.
And this is what we talked about earlier. Jack Peterson has that kind of pop in his bat. Just mentioned the wind has certainly shifted. It was blowing out to straightaway center just a couple moments ago. Caleb Woodward stepped in the box. He hit that ball to left center, and I think the wind was playing pretty much straight behind it. It was right there. It was blowing out a little bit, but not the direction that Peterson hit that ball. We talked about it. He's had some time in San Antonio to fill out, add muscle, and it's paid off certainly in this 24 campaign.
Lazara slices that one into left. It is foul. Peterson goes yard. Puts the Tigers up 5-1. 3 home runs in the series for Trinity. Now Lazara down in an 0-2 count. He struck out twice so far, trying to avoid the dreaded hat trick. Pitch misses. Good take by Lazara. 1-2 count. Nobody on base for the catcher to drive in. Have to start another rally. That pitch misses. So it evens up the count at 2-2.
Talked about it. He has great plate discipline and vision given the fact that he's a catcher.
Now a full count.
That doesn't mean he doesn't strike out looking every once in a while. That pitch that drove it to 2-2 was still in a really, really good spot.
Weak contact taken in by Vasquez. Throw to post in time. So that'll end the 4th inning. But the Tigers pull ahead even more. A Peterson bomb puts the Tigers up 5-1 as we head to the top of the 5th on the Tiger Network. Stay tuned. It is Eric Vasquez, Hayden Kesselring, and Xavier Arias up to bat when we come back. It's lucky number 7 for the Bulldogs up to bat. Eric Vasquez. 0 for 2 today. It's flown out and grounded out into a 5-3 double play. Takes the first pitch from Shepard Tyler for a ball. Bulldogs being out hit by the Tigers. 7-2 right now. Tyler challenging, but that one misses. So ball 2.
That's a huge shot in the bottom of the 4th inning. Texas Lutheran with an opportunity, leadoff man in the batter's box at the moment. 1-2-3 hitter. Certainly now with a good opportunity to get something going. 3-0 count. Good chance for a leadoff base runner to get on.
3-1 count. 4-pitch walk not issued to Vasquez. We'll see how Tyler attacks this time around. Walk drawn. So leadoff walk for the Bulldogs from the leadoff man. So Vasquez will stand at first for the 2-hole bat for the Bulldogs. Hayden Kesselring. Kesselring 0 for 2 today. Try to put a hit on the board. Sliced foul.
Another big thing about that shot in the bottom of the 4th, it just further adds to the momentum that Trinity seems to have in this series as a whole. felt like, from my perspective, although I wasn't on the call the last 2 days, Reed, you can tell me if you agree or not, things really shifted in their favor. Bottom 7, bottom 8 yesterday, scored a couple of runs to tie things up at 5, and then, of course, that Christian Holloway walk-off. How can you not grab momentum with something like that? But up until that point, even though Trinity led in the game yesterday, it was in the early going. It wasn't a commanding lead by any means. And coming off of a 5-0 victory from Texas Lutheran in game 1 of the series, it felt like for the first, 16 innings or so of this series, Texas Lutheran looked like the better, or at least more comfortable team here in San Antonio. And outside of the first inning here where they got on board, or got on the scoreboard first, Trinity has certainly turned things around and are in a great position to walk away with a 2-1 advantage.
Swing and a miss. That'll be a strikeout. Kesselring heads back to the dugout. Strikeout number 2 for Shepard Tyler on the day. We go to Xavier Arias. Taps home plate. But I agree, Luke. Hard not to say that it is a momentum. That's not a momentum grabber when you hit a walk-off home run. Put out into right field. It'll be a tough play. Gets down fair over into the bullpen. So a ground rule double. So runners at second and third. Maybe a bit unfortunate for the Bulldogs, as if it wasn't a ground rule double, runs probably coming in to score.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with you there, but this one goes both ways. Flags out in center field are blowing hard from right field to left field, and you imagine that might have kept that ball fair. It was slicing and slicing, and I could tell from our spot here on the roof that it certainly was on the left side of that line, but it was a very, very narrow margin.
So a foul ball for Adam Peavy. Peavy getting to work with 2 base runners. We'll see how Shepard Tyler handles the pressure. Handles it by plunking Peavy. It's another hit batter by a Tiger pitcher. So bases loaded for the Bulldogs. You wanted to make a statement and get back into this game. It would be now. 1 out on the board for Carson Drain. Of course,
mentioned another hit by pitch by one of these Trinity pitchers. It's plagued the staff maybe a little bit more this year than in previous seasons. Michael Bokey has maybe 10 batters that he's hit on the season. Of course, a guy like Shepard Tyler on the mound at the moment, it's just a little bit more of an inherent risk, right? You have a sidearm thrower on the mound, and more often than not, if he loses the ball, he's going to lose it arm side, and you have right-handed hitters like we see a lot at this level, they're going to get hit.
And it looks like that's going to be the day for Shepard Tyler as pitching coach Dave Smith makes the signal to the bullpen. So it'll be a Tiger arm being summoned from the bullpen to inherit a bases-loaded situation. We'll see how they handle the pressure and introduce him after he's done warming up. Stay tuned on the Tiger Network. Trinity leading 5-1 for now. I've checked the calendar. It is not a midweek game, but Michael Boki in for the Tigers. He's the new arm on the mound. Comes in with a 2-2 record, 4.26 ERA, 40 strikeouts, 18 batters walked, 1.3 whip over almost 26 innings of work. Usually starting in midweek games. Fires that first one for a ball to Carson Drain, coming into a bases-loaded situation.
Yeah, and on top of that, inheriting a 1-0 count. So it's not ball 1, that's ball 2 to push it to 2-0.
Fouled back, 2-1 count now. Boki, of course, breakout performance against DeSales. Struck out, I believe, 14 batters in that affair. Next pitch. Put into center field. Peterson can't make the diving grab. A run's going to score. Another one coming around third. And the runner's going to come home. Oh, no, he goes back. Wise decision to hold the runner, but 2 runs come in to score as Eric Vasquez and Xavier Arias come in. It's 5-3. Peavy thought about coming home for a moment, but retreated back to third. So 2 RBI for Carson Drain as he stands on second base.
Again, that wind out in center field coming into play. I think this one does play in favor of Trinity a little bit more. Peterson was moving into that right center field gap, laying out, and he misses it by just a couple of inches, it looked like. But again, that wind would probably be moving that baseball back towards him on a regular day. If it wasn't blowing out there, I think that one gets down rather easily. Nice job out in right field. Maddox McDonald backs him up, gets that ball rather quickly, and does, in fact, keep that third runner from coming across.
Tyler Post hit by the pitch. And Coach Dave Smith will head out to the mound. Have a talk with Boki. And a very, very quick day for Michael Boki. The bases are still loaded, and the next pitcher will be inheriting it. We take another break on the Tiger Network as the bullpen carouseling right now for the Tigers. after a little bit of delay. Swing and a miss. Strikeout for Jack Breezy, the new arm on the mound for the Tigers. Sorry about that, folks. Lost power for just a moment. But now we're back. Better than ever. 2 outs on the board. Bulldogs bring in a run, make it 4-5. As things continue to cycle on in this game, broadcast waits for nobody. Taking some practice swings now. Pinch hitter for the Bulldogs is number 18, Garrett Helpenstill. Breezy's pitch misses away for ball 1. Helpenstill working with the bases loaded. As the Bulldogs take a 5-4 deficit now. Trying to claw their way back. 2-0 count for Helpenstill. Fouled off, make it a 2-1 count.
It's 2 consecutive really good offerings from Breezy. 1-0 count. He tries to spot something on the outside corner, and it just misses to drive the count to 2-0, and Helpenstill recognizing he'll have an opportunity to tee off on something, just can't quite barrel it up.
We contact taken in by Tinker. Steps on third base. The Tigers have this inning end before the Bulldogs take the lead. They lead it 5-4. But a 3 spot for the Bulldogs. In part, a hit by pitch bringing in the run number 4. We'll take a break on the Tiger Network. And hopefully we'll be back on in the bottom of the 5th. Back here on the Tiger Network, it's Christian Holloway leading things off for the Tigers. Have a defensive substitution. He's now at the catcher position for the Bulldogs. It's Cole Cravens coming in to replace Chance Green after he was pinch hit for. Pitch misses for ball 1. It is still Diego Vinton out there. It is a bit of a closer game now for Vinton. 1-1 count for Holloway, trying to hold the Tigers at their 1-run lead.
This is a little bit of a surprise, but frankly not a massive one. 5 runs on the board for this Trinity squad so far. Texas Lutheran has proven so far this weekend they're going to ride with their starters for as long as they can. They did so game 1. Had to go to the bullpen yesterday, which is not a huge surprise.
Put out into deep in the outfield. Leaping catch made. What a snag by Mason Godot. Holloway will have to head back to the dugout. Mason Godot does it again. That's the 3rd or 4th just unbelievable play that he's made in this series.
And I think it's maybe the 2nd time he's done that to Christian Holloway as well. Holloway has belted a couple of baseballs, and luckily for him, the one that mattered the most got out of the ballpark. But yeah, he's put a couple out there. I don't think this one's getting out either. But a couple balls that certainly would have bounced hard off that wall and would have allowed him to move on to second base don't get down because of great defense displayed by Texas Lutheran. And I know that's really been the case all weekend long. That largely allows you to ride with your arms for as long as they have. And again, Vinton, outside of the one shot given up to Jack Peterson, has been very, very good today. That one swing of the bat accounts for 3 of Trinity's runs.
Alex Monson, weak contact. Vinton goes to field, throw over to first, gets past post. Monson heading to second. Foes has to recover the ball. It's going to be 2 bags for Alex Monson. Certainly will be an error on Vinton. Trying to get the throw over to post, just couldn't get it to him.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there for Vinton to field, because Monson grounds this one. He really pounds it into the turf right in front of the plate, but even then doesn't get that much distance. Vinton is the only guy that's going to get to this baseball. But it takes a hard first bounce off the turf. It's high in the air. It comes down, and I think it drops and bounces maybe one too many times off the turf. It forces him to pick up, and he has to throw immediately. Monson doesn't run particularly quick, but when you just pound the balls into the turf, the air time on the baseball that's created gives pretty much any runner ample time to reach first base, and that's what happened there. Vinton just sped up a little bit too much, and I think you're right. It's going to be an error, but very close play nonetheless.
Ball fouled off on the roof of the Bell Center. Vinton will come back. It's an 0-2 count for Colt Harris. 2 RBI single, reaching a fielder's choice. And pitch is high, so a 1-2 count. And Texas Lutheran very suddenly back into this one after some struggles from the Tiger bullpen. Fouled off. Still a 1-2 count. Tigers went through, I believe, 3 pitchers that inning, trying to get out of it. Just been a little struggle with the command.
And largely this one feels like a game of inches, maybe more so than you say on a regular basis in the game of baseball. But think back to that last half inning for Texas Lutheran. One just barely drops in down the right field foul line. One just barely drops in front of Jack Peterson as he dives in the right center field gap. And for those reasons, 3 runs end up coming across.
We contact taken in by the third baseman. Checks the runner back at second. The throw gets away. Another throwing error by the Bulldogs. So very, very odd mistakes for the Bulldogs to be making. Usually so good with those throws over to post, but the past 2 have not been the best.
Yeah, and it looked like over there at third, Arias was doing everything right up until he actually made the throw. Got to the baseball quickly, fielded it, checked the runner, but then from there, didn't look like he necessarily reset his feet. And Monson and Colt Harris back-to-back in this lineup. Neither of those guys run particularly well. There are some real speedsters on the Trinity roster, but they don't wear the jersey numbers 2 or 13. Would have had plenty of time to reset and get Harris. Instead, kind of just threw it from where he was at, and that was the end result.
Right now it's a mound visit for the Bulldogs. We've seen this a couple times, talking about what they're going to do, what the game plan is. Runners on second and third for Trinity. Just trying to pull ahead again. 1 out for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 5th. 3 errors for the Bulldogs in this game. bit of a reversal of fortune. The past 2 games, the Tigers have been the ones really making those errors. Script has flipped just a little bit. Kai Tinker takes that for ball 1. Third baseman 1 for 2 today. A single in the 4th and a strikeout in the 1st.
Yeah, Texas Lutheran bringing the infield in at the moment, recognizing 1 out on the board. Now, really right in the middle of this ball game, bottom of the 5th. Things will start dwindling. They'll be back on offense in the top of the 6th, and they won't have all that many outs to work with. They want to keep this at just a 1-run deficit if they can.
Puts that one in for a strike. 2-1 count to number 33. And Vinton's pitch count around the 100 mark. Gotta wonder how long he can go. Once fouled back into the netting. You can see the shift from the Bulldogs. It allows Harris to kind of really get a good lead off of second base. All the feet of the infielders pretty much touching the infield, quote-unquote grass. Not sure if that looks like grass, but.
You're right. If Tinker can lift something into play over the head of these infielders, it's almost certainly going to score Colt Harris from second.
Catch is made. Runner will tag. No play at the plate and no play at third, as Cravens has to come up to snag the ball. So sacrifice fly for the Tigers makes it 6-4. RBI for Kai Tinker. He does his job.
Yeah, and especially important right there is the fact that he serves it to right field. I think no matter what, that run is coming across from third. Monson scoring rather easily for someone that doesn't run great on the base paths. But in addition, given the fact that that one is put out into right field, Colt Harris advances that extra 90 feet, and he'll score easily if they can get another run to come across with 2 outs on the board.
Try to get it from Maddox McDonald. He's fouled that one off. Lifts that one into deep. It is off the scoreboard! Mad Maddox goes deep. Another home run for the Tigers. And once again, a 2-run shot puts them up 8-4.
And that's the direction the wind has been blowing today. And it's the first time this afternoon that a home run does get out of the ballpark to left field. It really felt like Maddox McDonald just went down to get this baseball. I think he might have just gotten under it enough to put it in the jet stream more than anything else. Felt like his hands, they didn't stay back all the way. He just put the barrel on it, trying to protect with 2 outs, and ultimately gets the job done. Trinity grabbing momentum again with another 3 runs, back-to-back innings where they put up crooked numbers.
8-4 now. Jack Baker having to follow up that performance. It's a 1-1 count for him. Slices that one into right field. Could be dangerous. It gets down. Baker will head to second. The throw won't be in time, so a double for Jack Baker. And the bats are as hot as this day is right now.
Yeah, I mean, what a performance by this offense today, Reed. A team that over the first, again, 16, 17 innings of this series scored 2 runs. Didn't have all that many hits. Really, really struggled offensively on Friday where they were held scoreless. Now 8 runs on 10 hits, and certainly at the moment they're capitalizing big time on these Texas Lutheran errors made in the field, especially in this half inning.
It's going to be the day for Diego Vinton. Starting pitcher for the Bulldogs has been knocked out by the Tigers. New pitcher will inherit a runner at second base. We'll take a break on the Tiger Network and let him get warmed up and introduce him. Stay tuned on the Tiger Network. A new arm on the mound for the Bulldogs. A familiar face. It's Nolan McInvale. The lefty throwing about 35 innings coming into this series with a ERA around 2.55. Look to hold the Tigers down. The bats are hot. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah, the bats are hot, Reed, and you're right. You alluded to it just a moment ago. I think just about everything else is hot at the moment in San Antonio. I can't imagine what it feels like out there in black pants on a turf field at the moment for these Texas Lutheran Bulldogs.
Caleb Woodward try and beat the heat of the turf. 0 for 2 today. Drew a walk in the first. Flashes bunt for just a moment, but pulls back wisely for a ball. So 1-0 count for Woodward. Peterson on deck. Now a 2-0 count for Woodward. So it's back-to-back multi-home run games for the Tigers. I'm trying to think if that's happened this season.
If it has, it's been quite a while. Realistically, the only series where I feel like that could have been a possibility were the outings against Babson.
It's taken for a strike. Groans from the Tiger dugout. 2-1 count.
But yeah, I mean, last time I was on the call was this past Tuesday against McMurray, where it was a historic offensive output. 20 runs on 20-plus hits in that one, and I don't know, maybe one home run in that game? I'm already forgetting. There's just so much to keep track of when you have 20-plus hits. But we talked pretty extensively about how this offense needs to move to that point where they don't have to rely on the home run ball to put up runs. But it's certainly a luxury when that does happen, and it's been a luxury here this afternoon in San Antonio.
So Woodward draws another walk. Jack Peterson, probably not the guy you want to see at the plate right now if you're TLU. 3 for 3 today, 2 singles. Of course, that 2-run shot. We'll see how McInvale deals with the Tiger lefty. Strike one. Peterson. Of course, we know he has power. He's also got a ton of speed. Caught stealing this game. Bit of an oddity. That one runs in. He fouls it off. Heads up. Goes through the tree. I think missing the stands ultimately.
Yeah, but just by a couple of feet. Kind of like that ball that came back here to us. I haven't seen foul balls wind up this close to spectators here at Trinity University all season long.
Strike 3 called. Peterson goes down looking. McInvale gets TLU out of the inning. But the Tigers take the lead 8-4 off of a Maddox McDonald bomb. Stay tuned on the Tiger Network for the 6th inning. Trinity leading it 8-4. And Jack Breezy still on the mound for the Tigers. First pitch missing for Eric Vasquez. Takes a 1-0 lead early on in the count. Next pitch from Breezy. Misses for ball 2. See if Breezy can settle in. Vasquez 0 for 2 today. Drew a walk in the 5th. May draw another walk here as it's a 3-0 count for Eric Vasquez.
And Breezy taking a little bit extra time before this 4th offering, trying to just recenter himself. Doesn't want to issue that 4-pitch walk.
And he will not. Strike 1 delivered. Batter's count for Vasquez. We contact. Taken in by Baker. Throw to first. Good stretch by Holloway. Gets the out. So a good play by Holloway. Getting the connection from Baker. That's out number 1.
Yeah, and a tremendous job by both Breezy, Baker, and Holloway on that play right there. Breezy recentering himself, throwing a couple of consecutive strikes, and just forcing the batter to swing the bat. Baker doing a nice job, having the range, and again showing the range that he has as a defender. I mean, just tremendous at the shortstop position all season long. It hasn't been flawless, but in his first full year at the reins, he's been really, really good. And it's the same story over there at first base. Christian Holloway learning a little bit of a new position himself this year. He's not the biggest first baseman, but he uses every inch of his frame to stretch and keeps himself on the bag for out number 1.
Strike 1 to the 2-hole bat, Hayden Kesselring. Breezy working quick. Swing and a miss. Ahead in the count now. Breezy received a visit from Tim Scannell on the mound. Head coach comes out. Very rarely a change, usually just a conversation. Timeout called. Kesselring taking a couple swings, wanting to break the rhythm of Breezy, but he is set and ready to go. He has not brought that glove down. So now a meeting with Kesselring and his coach allows Lazara having a conversation with the home plate umpire saying, nope. Get back behind the plate, I suppose.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, of course, Kesselring taking time, as you mentioned, trying to disrupt Breezy's rhythm just a little bit. Maybe Texas Lutheran coaching staff also observing the rhythm that Breezy is trying to establish as he was standing right on the mound.
Frame attempt by Lazara. Umpire still calls it a ball all the same. Still ahead in the count is Breezy. Working quick again, 2-2 count. And maybe they have disrupted him. It's 2 balls in a row. Juices the count for Kesselring. Lifted. Kai Tinker under it. Gets called off, and Jack Baker makes the catch. So 2 outs now. Jack Baker has been involved in both plays to get the out. A real Jack Breezy to Jack Baker connection. JB to JB.
That reminds me. Well, I did watch the other games this weekend, Reed. I wasn't watching so closely and wasn't constantly watching with the sound on that I don't know if the Jacks conversation has taken place yet.
Oh, it is not.
Okay, so we do have something that we have to establish on the broadcast today. Real important business.
It really is. Next pitch. Put out into right field. That conversation will have to wait for just a moment as McDonald makes the catch. That'll be the end of the top of the 6th. Get to the bottom of the frame on the Tiger Network. But just before that, I want to give a quick shout out to my Aunt Tina and great Uncle Raul watching right now. I've been watching every broadcast. Big Tiger fans. So thank you for your continued support. It means a lot to me. Let's stay tuned on the Tiger Network as we head to the bottom of the 6th frame. The theme song for Nick Lazzara playing over the speakers. He leads off the Tigers in the bottom of the 6th. Swing and a miss. Lazzara's 0 for 3 today. Rough day at the plate so far. Could change it with one swing of the bat, though. Lazzara, another bat capable of going deep. The wind blowing as it is. Pitch misses for a 1-1 count. McInvale still on the mound for the Bulldogs. Had a bit of trouble settling in his appearance in Game 2. Swing and a miss. Lazzara down in a 1-2 count to Nolan McInvale. We'll see how he approaches this next pitch from McInvale. We contact to, not Godot. Out is May, that's to Chase Bourgeois. My apologies. Out on the board either way. Lazzara head back to the dugout as the first out. Christian Holloway, man who hit the walk-off homer in Game 2. Steps on up to the Oche for the Tigers. McInvale. Another weak contact drawn. It gets through. So Holloway with a base hit. Just in an awkward position between Post and Vasquez getting into the outfield.
I talked about it in one of his first plate appearances of the day. It might have been his very first plate appearance of the day. There was a big hole on the right side that he tried to exploit. Ended up just grounding back to, at that point in the game, Diego Vinton on the mound. This time, he is able to find that open space. Great job by Christian Holloway. Just going up with an approach and executing very, very well with it.
First pitch for Alex Monson misses. 1-0 count. Love it whenever Monson comes up to bat. Every Tiger, arms up in the air. Holloway on first base. That pitch misses. Craven's having to really pick it So 2-0 count. So the cloud above us leaves us. Two-0 pitch. Coming from McInville. Nope, he picks. Holloway is safe. Of course, stealing second base, more difficult when it is a lefty on the mound because they're facing you. It's one of the advantages a lefty pitcher has. Strike one to Alex Monson. Like you were talking about, a homer that the Tigers hit in that McMurray series. I do believe it was Alex Monson who went deep. The only Tiger to do so. Bit surprising when a 20-run performance was a lot of great base hits. Still concerned about Holloway at first. Dive back safely. A 2-1 count. And they keep trying to get Holloway. Mentioned the heat on the turf. Probably getting off the turf as quick as possible, as the turf really absorbs heat compared to a grass field. They check on him again.
Yeah, can't entirely fault McInville on the mound at the moment. Certainly doing his due diligence, but given our knowledge of this Trinity team, I would say that Christian Holloway is likely not going to take off.
And the throw to first in time. So they take one out. Holloway will reach second base. Alex Monson grounds out, but helps advance the runner. So he is in scoring position for Colt Harris. Harris takes a little faux practice swing. Now ready for McInville's pitch. And it is hit hard into left field. Holloway will come around third. It is bobbled in left. So Holloway will score. It's 9-4, advantage Tigers, as Colt Harris gets his third RBI of the day.
And this one certainly would have been interesting. Really hot shot off the bat, and it's hit pretty much right at Godot out there in left field. I already mentioned Christian Holloway, not a base stealing threat, not the fastest guy on this roster. You know, when you combine those things, hot shot guy who doesn't run particularly quickly, would have probably made for a close play at the plate, but with two outs and the way Christian Holloway came across, even with the bobble, imagine he was safe there all the way.
Hayden Kesselring catches the can of corn out in right center. That ends the inning for the Tigers. On to the seventh. Tigers in the lead, 9-4. Due up for the Bulldogs, Adam Peavy, Carson Drain, and Tyler Post. Stay tuned on the Tiger Network as the Bulldogs look to mount another comeback. Back to the Tiger Network. That's Jack Breezy, one of three Jacks in the field right now. First pitch, strike one to Adam Peavy, the cleanup hitter over one today. He's been hit by the pitch twice, and he struck out looking. Breezy continues to work quick. That one in the turf for a 1-1 count. We wanted to get into a conversation about the many jacks on this Tiger roster.
4 of them, to be precise. And that's a pretty big deal. 4 is a good number. For what reason, Reed?
Well, of course, in a deck of cards, there are 4 suits. Hard grounder in, but snagged by Jack Baker. Throw to first in time. What a throw by Jack Baker. Gets Peavy out. What a play by Jack Baker.
Yeah, and assigning face cards to the jacks on the field, he might have just helped himself out a little bit.
Certainly. Jack Breezy on the mound. Jack Baker at short. Jack Peterson in center. Strike 1 to Carson Drain. I think Jack of clubs is Peterson's to take. Strike again. So Drain down 0-2. Breezy still working quick. Now 1-2 count. No, Peterson, I'd say the best hitter among all the jacks, considering 2 of them are pitchers, only has Jack Baker to really work with. We contact Jack Baker looking to make another play. Throw to first. Gets away from Holloway. Runner won't advance. So a base runner for the Bulldogs in the form of Drain. Actually, he'll head to second base. Must have gone into the Bulldog dugout or bullpen.
Yeah, and it looks like on the scoreboard, saw an H flash, so I suppose the ruling is that he would have been safe had that one been secured. It was really a bang-bang play over at the bag. And then, of course, he moves over to second because that throw, as you mentioned, did get away. Must have snuck under some fencing into a bullpen or just completely out of play.
Strike 1 to Tyler Post. Jack Baker, like Jack of Spades. Swing and a miss. 0-2 count. Breezy still working quick. I think the spade is a very good defensive symbol. Next pitch from Breezy. On the way. Swing and a miss. Takes out Tyler Post on 3 strikes. Led back to the dugout as the second out of the inning as Post just downed by Jack Breezy.
Yeah, that is another way to earn some favor when we're assigning the jacks to this roster at the moment. I mean, he came into this game in a really, really tough spot, Jack Breezy did. And we said it on the broadcast before, it is not always easy being Breezy. And at that time, it wasn't, but things can change. Sometimes it is, in fact, easy being Breezy, and at the moment, it feels like that's the case.
Chase Bourgeois takes a strike, a 1 count for him. And the last 2 suits for me are the diamond and the heart. Breezy setting up for the next pitch. Swing and a miss, 0-2 count. Quickly for Bourgeois. I think I like the diamond for Breezy because no matter how rough it gets, he shines all the same. That would make Jackson Tier my Jack of Hearts. Good pitch. Really challenging the zone. Lazara wanting to ask the umpire where it missed. 1-2 count.
Just off the plate. It's that spot down and away that very early going wasn't given very frequently. It's shifted back and forth. I think it's Matthias Writing that's inserted defensively behind home plate at the moment. And that time around, he doesn't try and frame that pitch on the outside portion. Fastball dotted, and it was certainly very close, but even the catcher didn't think it was close enough.
2-2 pitch from Breezy in the turf. So now full count for Bourgeois. Do you have any objections to what I've assigned the jacks?
No, I really don't. I mean, I think everything works. I think there's some places you can lean one way or another.
Weak contact. Jack Baker over to first. Draws Holloway off the bag. He's safe. Run will come in to score. So a couple tough plays. Gritty baseball being played by the Bulldogs. It's 9-5. And Bulldogs still have a job to do.
And Baker gets to this baseball rather quickly, having to charge in from his spot, playing pretty deep in the hole right there, and felt like he got there with plenty of time. But after he had fielded it, looked like maybe he took just one extra pad once he had transferred the ball to his hand. And that makes a lot of difference, especially when you have a guy on the base paths running as well as Bourgeois did right there. Already saw him beat out a really soft hit infield single earlier in this game. He applies some pressure again right there. I think Baker recognizing that after he had taken that extra step, and then he rushed the throw, and Holloway helped him out, just couldn't do so again.
And it's strike to the pinch hitter for the Bulldogs. It's Coker Novosad Wagner. Fun name. 1-1 count for him. Pitch misses, so a 2-1 count. Wagner getting ready to take on Breezy again. That run being surrendered. Bulldogs trying to push back. Ripped deep into left field. And it is foul. And that's going to splash into the pool. What a shot by Wagner. Oh, man.
Yeah, we don't see that happen very frequently anymore. It used to happen a lot, but now there is a pretty big net out there in left field to avoid exactly that, and he went just right over the top of it.
Contact foul. So sigh of relief for Jack Breezy. 2's on the board for Wagner. Yeah, that was crushed. That was way, way gone. Fortunate for the Tigers that was foul. Line snagged by Baker, goes the short way. That'll be the end of the top of the 7th. It's time to stretch on Tiger Network. Hope you sing along with Take Me Out to the Ball Game as we head to the bottom of the 7th frame. Bulldogs scratch a run across. It's 9-5. Back to the Tiger Network. It's Maddox McDonald that'll start things off for the Tigers. Of course, this is an important game when it comes to the standings for the SCAC. It's a fight to make the playoffs this year. Only 4 teams making the conference tournament in baseball for the SCAC. Shows bunt, goes awry. 0-1 count. And Dallas right now is the one really trying to push into the postseason for the first time in a while. You know, for most of the time, it's usually 4 teams. And I believe that one's taken high for a ball. Dallas is well on their way to sweeping Austin College. That would push them to 7-7. If TLU loses, that would make them 8-7. Ground ball snagged by Arias. Throw over to first in time. Great play by Xavier Arias. Puts it out on the board. Maddox McDonald trying to speed it out, but unable to.
Yeah, McDonald's, we've noted already today, runs very, very well. He puts this down the line, puts the fielder on the ground as well. Arias having to go to the turf to just steady himself and pick himself back up off the ground. Despite all of that, he has a strong enough arm to get it across the diamond on target and post with a nice stretch. And the throw just barely beats the runner.
Ground ball from Jack Baker. Unable to be snagged by Bourgeois. So a base hit for Jack Baker as he stands on first for Caleb Woodward.
And Baker was going to make this a tough play no matter what. It looked like in the hole out there at short, Bourgeois might have an opportunity to glove it. And normally, of course, playing on turf, things take pretty true bounces. It looks like that one almost skipped away from him, left to right, or I guess in this circumstance, right to left. At least it was moving side to side a little bit, trying to avoid the shortstop, and it helps out Jack Baker.
And of course, for Dallas in particular, they missed a game against Centenary due to rain. But it's pulled back from Woodward, 1-0 count. So it'll be interesting. They've had opportunities to make it up. They have yet to, however. And Dallas, I believe, still has to play Shriner. Meanwhile, TLU having to go through Southwestern and Centenary. Woodward lays down the bunt, unable to be gloved by McInvale, and he'll be safe. Runners on first and second for the Tigers. That's another excellent bunt by Caleb Woodward.
It seemed like that's kind of the approach Maddox McDonald had in his at-bat to lead this inning off. First pitch, he tried to move through it. It was just a little too far outside of the zone in the other's batter's box, and he couldn't get barrel on the baseball. But we've seen this lineup bunt very successfully in that manner, just pushing it right past the pitcher. Again, McInvale, lefty on the mound. He's falling off the opposite direction. Just really difficult to get to that baseball.
Fortunate play as Peterson will be retired on the infield fly. So 2 outs now. Fortunate for McInvale. Peterson, dangerous batter. Now Matthias Writing, catcher known more for his defense than for his offensive capabilities, will try and come in big for the Tigers here. Pitch misses away for ball 1. An important game for the standings. Tigers kind of fighting the Gents for the 1 seed, the regular season championship. Writing muscles that one very shallow, and the catch is made by Vasquez. It'll end the 7th. Tigers up 9-5 still. Bulldogs only have 6 more outs to work with. We'll see what they can do with them as we head to the top of the 8th on the Tiger Network. Bulldogs find themselves trailing by 4. It is Cole Cravens that'll step up to bat. He will try and get something going for the Bulldogs. First pitch misses. Ball 1 to Cravens. Comes into this position after Chance Green was pinch hit for. Swing and a miss. He was then subbed in defensively. Cravens watches that one wisely for a ball. He's trying to make an impact with the bat. Hitting 184 on the year. Two 1 count pitch. Grounder right back to Breezy. Return to sender. Just a nice, easy arcing throw for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, and I think Peyton Tebow, in charge of multimedia, SID, athletic director, everything of the sort. He does it all, really. Great on the pickleball court as well. Shout out Peyton Tebow. I don't know if you'll ever listen to this or not. I'll probably tell you that I said all of this, and you'll take my word for it. But nonetheless, he is my biggest influence. He pushes me to be great on this broadcast, specifically to be great in saying it is easy being breezy, and there's no better time to say it than after that play right there. He made that look effortless.
Trying to make this AB look effortless will be Eric Vasquez. That one muscled into right field. Could be playable. McDonald does make it playable. Able to make the tough catch. So 2 outs now. As Breezy certainly making it look easy.
Yeah, long run for McDonald right there, and becomes a little bit difficult when you get down into that corner, playing right up along that bullpen fencing. Doesn't come into play, but you certainly become cognizant of it. It can make it difficult to play right up against it, but McDonald didn't have any issue with it right there and records out number 2. Texas Lutheran's chances here in Game 3 as they try and take this series and help themselves out in the standings. Those chances are dwindling now.
3-0 count for Kesselring. There was a defensive substitution for the Bulldogs in last inning that we missed. Asher Bunnell coming into left field. Strike 1 to Kesselring. Interesting substitution for the Bulldogs. Lined right to Kai Tinker. What can we say? It's easy being breezy. Goose egg on the board for the visitors' side. We head to the bottom of the 8th on the Tiger Network. The cleanup hitter will lead things off for the Tigers. Christian Holloway, 2 for 4 today. There's a double and a single to his name for those hits. A lot of things going on in the sports world, including the Masters. Exciting time for golf. Nolan McInvale, first pitch of the inning. In for strike one to Holloway. Next pitch missing away. Ball one. I have the assistant SID, Garrett Landon, a big golfer. Watching the Masters. The 2-1 count for Christian Holloway. And the next pitch for McInvale. Skied. Who will make the play? Post calling everyone off, makes the catch. Good communication from the Bulldogs, first out of the inning.
And at this point in the game, opportunity now for the coaching staff to put some new faces in there, get some cuts in a game that feels pretty secure. Now 9-5 as Texas Lutheran's down to their final 3 outs. It's a good opportunity to get some of the younger bats in these conference game scenarios.
Kalfani Coney steps up to the plate. First pitch from the Bulldogs to Coney is fouled back onto the roof of the Bell Center. See how McInvale puts the next pitch. Another one fouled off, so an 0-2 count for Coney. Sun still beating down on everybody here in San Antonio. Has not gone away. Swing and a miss. McInvale strikes out Coney for the second out. Head to Colt Harris coming up to bat. Give another shout out for Vern Lundquist, TLU alum, calling his final Masters today.
Yeah, not just his final one, but his 40th. Pretty incredible stuff there, frankly.
Only dreamed to be in the game for 40 years. Working quick is McInvale. 0-2 count to Colt Harris. The pitch. Swing and a miss. And McInvale dices and slices. The Tigers go down quietly in the bottom of the 8th. Brings us to the top of the 9th. It's Xavier Arias, Adam Peavy, and Carson Drain, the ones due up for the Bulldogs to try and either tie or take the lead. Bulldogs down to their final 3 outs when we come back on the Tiger Network. Jack Breezy nearly gone 4 innings, looking to be the one to shut things down and get the dub for the Tigers. First pitch leveled into left field. It's deep and off the scoreboard. Xavier Arias on the first pitch takes Breezy deep. That'll make it a 9-6 ball game. What a shot by Xavier Arias.
Yeah, that was a no-doubter off the bat of Arias. We talked about it. McDonald hit one in very similar place right off the middle of the scoreboard. But he went down and got his. It kind of carried out there. We wasn't sure off the bat. That one, based on the sound, I don't think there was any question if that one was jumping the fence, and it certainly did very quick.
Looks like there will be a pinch hitter for the Bulldogs as they pinch hit for their cleanup man. It's Mason Musgrave who will come in to pinch hit. Adam Peavy, just a bit of a struggle in this series. So they turn to Musgrave. Musgrave looking for his first hit. Only has one AB. Fouls that one back.
In a 4-run ball game, at least it was a 4-run ball game coming into this inning. Texas Lutheran, you're looking for runs any way you can get them. Certainly a home run is one thing. It just depends on the scenario. Leadoff batter, jumping the yard, feels good and gets you a little bit of momentum, but Trinity certainly shouldn't be too concerned about giving up that one, at least not quite yet. Still no outs on the board, but Breezy working back and jumping ahead in this count.
Musgrave staying alive with that foul ball. Trying to see Breezy at all. It's been a tough time for him so far. Easy take for him as that one's too high. Musgrave continues to work the count. It's 2-2. Swing and a miss. Jack Breezy puts away Mason Musgrave for the first out of the inning. Strikeout number 3 on the day for Breezy.
You know, I know pitching coach Dave Smith is not too unhappy about the results so far in this inning. He wants his staff to just go out on that mound and attack people. And if you give up solo shots, you're going to live with it because, you know, that proves that with no one on, you're coming straight at hitters. And Breezy's done it twice in this inning. One time, he gave up a solo shot. And then the next time out, you're going to see what happens more often than not. You get an out. That time it was of the strikeout variety. Really nice breaking ball to finish off that at-bat once he got to that 2-strike count.
Carson Drain now rifles that one deep in the left. The catch is made near the warning track by Caleb Woodward, who was placed very, very nicely. If he wasn't there, that could have been trouble.
Yeah, if this one is, 15 feet either direction, it has a good chance of getting down. Not the trajectory needed to get out of the ballpark that time around. And now Breezy, after a loud start to the inning for Texas Lutheran, is just one swing of the bat from finishing Game 3 of this series.
And another pinch hitting for Tyler Post. It is Trevor Cones. So we'll see how Cones does against Breezy. First pitch in the opposite batter's box for ball 1. Interesting choice for TLU. Cones hitting .250 on the year, over 8 ABs. Fouls that one back, evens up the count at 1-1. Bulldogs have reached into the pinch hitters here in the top of the 9th. Cones represents the last out potentially for the Bulldogs. Swing and a miss. 1-2 count. So the Bulldogs down to their final strike potentially. Cones trying to pass the baton to the next batter. Swing and a miss. Jack Breezy gives an emphatic scream. The Tigers can celebrate. They win the series against Texas Lutheran 2-1 with a 9-6 win. And to the thanks of Jack Breezy and some very well hit balls from the Tiger bats.
And what a turnaround from this team, pretty holistically in every capacity. Wasn't a great outing on Friday for the pitchers or the hitters in this squad. I know all 5 of the runs they came across were unearned, but still didn't put themselves in great positions, at least not the way that they did today. Everybody took care of business, a ton of hits on the scoreboard, 14, in a game where the squad got pretty much everything you could ask for against a Texas Lutheran team that felt like it was heating up over the course of the past couple of weeks, and even on Friday night. A huge turnaround in games 2 and 3 for this Trinity squad, and keeps them right there tied atop the standings in the conference.
It certainly does. And the Tigers getting the great win. 2-1 series victory over the Bulldogs. They'll be on the road on Tuesday to play Hardin Simmons up in Abilene, midweek game. And then they'll be back home next week for their final home series against the University of Dallas. So be sure to tune in for that one, Bulldogs fans. For TLU, they will look to bounce back at home in Seguin against Centenary. So Bulldogs fans, be sure to show up for that series. It's a big one for Texas Lutheran. I'll give a shout out to several people. It's my last broadcast on the mic for the Tiger Network for this year. I'd like to thank Josh Machugema first and foremost, keeping us on the air, making sure everything's working. Thank my color commentator today, Luke Terry, for helping out baseball and basketball. He's been with me the entire way. Thank you to Cole Isaacson, Caleb Reed, Peyton Tebow, Garrett Landon, Justin Parker. Can't give a big enough thanks to Justin Parker, mastermind for our sports information directors. Shout out to Elizabeth, Lourdes, Grace, Ariel, Adam, David, Yanel, and many, many others who deserve to have their names shouted out. For everyone at the Tiger Network and Luke Terry, I am Reed Rosales. Tigers win the series against TLU. I'm signing off for the final time. Have a great rest of your Sunday.